Unfortunately, in recent years, a corrupt group of hacks and radicals within the ranks of the American government obliterated the trust and goodwill built up over generations. They weaponized the vast powers of our intelligence and law enforcement agencies to try and thwart the will of the American people. Our predecessors turned this Department of Justice into the Department of Injustice. But I stand before you today to declare that those days are over, and they are never going to come back. They're never coming back. I will insist upon and demand full and complete accountability for the wrongs and abuses that have occurred. The American people have given us a mandate like few people thought possible. We will expel the rogue actors and corrupt forces from our government. We will expose and very much expose their egregious crimes and severe misconduct, of which was levels you've never seen anything like it.
Согласны с предложениями прекратить боевые действия.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has expressed qualified support for a US proposed 30-day ceasefire in the Ukraine war. But he says any agreement must address what Moscow sees as the root causes of the conflict.
We're doing very well with Russia.
A major caveat that suggests agreement could take longer than US President Donald Trump wants. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, whose country has accepted the plan, says Putin wants to delay the truce or make it not happen at all. So what do we know of Putin's conditions for pausing the war prompted by Russia's invasion of Ukraine 3 years ago? Russia wants Ukraine to drop its ambitions to join the US-led NATO military alliance.
NATO welcomes the aspirations of Georgia and Ukraine for their membership in NATO.
In February, Russia demanded NATO scrap its 2008 promise to one day give Ukraine membership. It also dismissed the idea that NATO forces could keep the peace under any ceasefire deal. Putin portrays the conflict as part of an existential battle with the West, which he says humiliated Russia by expanding NATO eastwards after the fall of communism. The Kremlin wants recognition of Russia's claim to Crimea and 4 Ukrainian provinces it controls. It annexed the Crimean Peninsula in 2014 and sent proxies into East Ukraine. Russian forces currently control nearly a fifth of Ukraine's territory and are edging forward. Keir Giles of Chatham House says Ukraine accuses Russia of trying to create a frozen conflict.
Cementing of the front lines in their current position without any long-term guarantee of ensuring that the war will actually come to an end risks rewarding Russia by making the current zone of control permanent and freezing the conflict in place as opposed to resolving it.
Kyiv says Moscow annexed the regions it claims illegally and that it will never recognise Russian sovereignty over them. Putin wants the size of Ukraine's army to be limited. He says the ceasefire would have to ensure that Ukraine didn't use the time to regroup, train and take weapons deliveries, something Russia could also do.
Russia will be rebuilding its military force even faster without Ukrainian forces eroding it almost as fast as it can be rebuilt. And Ukraine, of course, will be rebuilding its defences.
Both sides are sustaining heavy casualties in what has become a war of attrition. But Russia is currently in the stronger position, experts say, while the future of US aid to Kyiv remains unclear under Trump. A February report by the London-based IISS think tank said Ukraine has suffered a serious loss of personnel, with many ground units under strength. Kyiv has launched a military recruitment drive to address its manpower problem. The Kremlin has also previously demanded an agreement not to deploy foreign troops in Ukraine. Putin has also made clear he wants Western sanctions on his country eased, and a presidential election to be held in Ukraine, which Kyiv says is premature while martial law is still in force.
Tens of thousands of protesters descended on Serbia's capital Belgrade on Saturday in one of the largest rallies in decades. The demonstrators, including students and workers, faced riot police and supporters of President Aleksandar Vučić. Many protesters are demanding the release of documents about last year's railway station disaster when a roof collapsed and killed 15 people in the city of Novi Sad. This protester wants accountability.
I believe that after this, people will have a better awareness of what's going on in the country, and I'm hoping we will be able to reach out to the people, that all will be good, and that we will return to normalcy. We are waiting for the authorities to be held accountable for what happened in Novi Sad, as we believe it is all about the irresponsibility of the state bodies.
The railway disaster triggered accusations of widespread corruption and negligence in the government, despite prosecutors having charged 13 people and the government announcing an anti-corruption campaign. Months of protests have been largely peaceful, but police said they apprehended 13 people in incidents overnight and early on Saturday.
Cuba's national electric grid collapsed late on Friday, leading to widespread blackouts across the Caribbean island nation, including the capital, Havana. Energy Ministry officials said an electrical substation in Havana failed around 8:15 p.m. Reuters footage shows the lights were out across all of Havana's skyline, and reports on social media suggested much of the country of 10 million people was without power. The grid failure follows a string of nationwide blackouts late last year, which plunged Cuba's frail and antiquated power generation system into near total disarray. Hours-long rolling blackouts have been the norm for months, coupled with severe shortages of food, medicine, and water, have made life increasingly unbearable for many Cubans, who in recent years have fled the island in record-breaking numbers.
We just felt we needed to do something, it might be small, to try and help the people of Ukraine, especially after what they've been through and the way Trump and Vance treated Zelensky. The reaction's been fantastic. Over the weekend we had a jar there for donations. People were putting in $20, $50. It's got our total donation to up over $2,000 for the appeal, and sensational effort for a small town.